Okay, folks, gonna do a little workbench tour here, so let's get the workbench fired up. Computer, turn on workbench. Computer, turn on soldering station. Okay, everything's fired off. I think I finally got the workbench to the way I finally like it. I think we're gonna leave it this way. Everything I've been working on making it to where I can have a nice, easy workflow. I think I finally achieved that. Got everything set up just the way that I like it. So let's see, where shall we start? Okay, how about maybe the parts bins? Got a lot of these gray parts bins that I keep miscellaneous parts in. I've had all these parts bins for a long time. I have them in various sizes. These actually came from Hillman Fasteners. These were actually in a hardware store that held nuts and bolts and stuff like that. I spent about a decade working in the hardware industry between Ace Hardware and True Value Hardware. And so I made a friend out of the Hillman sales rep. Me and him are still friends to this day. And so yeah, that's where all those came from. They've worked out really nice for the business. Like I said, I keep nuts and bolts in them, plus all kinds of electronic parts and stuff like that over the years. So I use those to construct the workbench. I basically use those as the base for my workbench. Before I had them just stacked in a big stack, floor to ceiling. So when I redid my workbench this time, I thought I'm going to integrate these, and I'm going to use them basically as the pedestals for the workbench. So that's what I did. I think it worked out pretty nice. So and then I just used used an old door blank I had laying around for the bottom shelf, and then the top shelves are some bifold doors. I got another buddy who owns a door business, so yeah, he gave me a bunch of doors and stuff like that. I mean, they're great to use for things like shelves and workbenches and stuff like that. So those have worked out nice. So let's get in a little bit closer here. Got the monster power sender here that powers everything on the workbench. Now, I'm on solar. I've got a great big solar system with 3 batteries and the whole 9 yards. And so I like to be able to monitor my incoming line voltage to the workbench. That way I know exactly what's going on voltage-wise. So that powers, like I said, everything on the bench gets powered off of that device there. I've got another monster power strip back in there, and that I think I've only got a couple things plugged into that, but that's mainly just for plugging devices in to power stuff up back there. And then I also have my dim bulb tester here. I have the dim bulb running through a kilowatt meter, so I can actually see voltages and amperages and stuff like that are actually being drawn through the circuit. That's all connected to my variac over here. The variac is plugged directly into the wall. It bypasses everything. So that variac, like I said, that runs the dim bulb. And then on the front, I've got a switch here. This switch, when I want to use suction for soldering on the solder station, I can flip this switch on and I can adjust the variac to adjust how much suction that I want on the suction hose for the fume extractor, which has worked out really nice. So if I need more suction, I can just up the voltage. So that variac serves a dual purpose for me. Like I said, for the dim bulb and then for the fume extractor, so that's worked out really nice. Also on the power front, I've got a couple different power supplies there. The red one is 0 to 30 volts, 5 amps. And the little one there's 0 to 15 volts at up to 1 amp. That also powers as a voltage meter as well as a power supply. Also has an RF meter, so it's kind of a handy little tool. I use that a lot actually for one of my favorite things to use that for actually is, let me see, I've got, for working on computers and checking the CMOS batteries to make sure of the voltage of the CMOS batteries, I ordered these little tweezers. And so I just connect those to that, and then I can just touch that to a button cell battery and clamp it down really easily and check the voltage. It works out really nice for that. It's not the only thing I use it for, but it's one of my favorite things I use that for. So So anyway, yeah, I mean, I've got two other multimeters there. Yeah, we might as well talk about those, I guess. The one to the left is a Mastech, and then the one on the right is an O1. That's actually that meter there is a Bluetooth meter, does all kinds of cool stuff. And then also I've got an ESR meter for checking capacitors there. And then moving over, I've got my oscilloscope there, and I've got my O1 signal generator sitting on top of the scope. So those two items set off to the right. That works out really nicely for me. And then above that are all my most used hand tools. Now these aren't all my tools. I've got another shop out back that has my big roll around toolbox, my air compressor, more workbenches, stuff for breaking down dirty stuff out there, and I can blow it out and whatnot before it comes into the lab here. Make sure everything's clean. But yeah, I've got an assortment of hand tools. I've got some impact sockets up there. I use those for all kinds of stuff. So I like to keep those handy. Those are standard. I've got a set of metric impacts like that as well. But I just keep the standards up there on my bar because, like I said, I do use them for a lot of different things. I've got a set of snap ring pliers there. Those work really nicely for taking nuts off of face plates on vintage receivers and stuff like that, where you need basically a couple little pins to unscrew the nut. So I have those there. Also, I've got a set of wire strippers, got needle nose pliers, some side cutters, an actual pair of regular pliers. I've got bent nose and straight nose forceps, and then another little pair of little snippers there that I use. I've got some small files. I can use those for all kinds of things like guitar work and various things like that. And I've got some picks next to that. And then we get over into the Weehaw stuff. All the black and yellow handled Weehaw stuff, that's all ESD safe equipment there. The red handle one next to it is Weehaw, it's just not ESD safe. Above that, let's see, over here I've got some different tweezers and whatnot. I've got another old vintage meter that I've had since I was a kid. I've got some Southwire cable testing tools there. I've got my audio selector box to where I can send signal from whatever I'm working on up to the bench amp, and I don't have to have access to the back of the amp. Now, of course, next to that, I've got my handy dandy little Alexa, which I've named Computer. And then I've got a thermal imager next to that. And then we've got some PC tools there, the wireless mouse that I use, and got some USB thumb drives and stuff like that in that little bucket, and then my tester monitor. And then above that, got a lot of different hooks, excuse me, where I hang my test leads and stuff like that. And then above that, got some chemicals, my right side test speaker, and this is my bench amp. It's an old realistic receiver, and a Sound Craftsman equalizer. I've got some hex keys, my left test speaker, and I've just got the receiver. I've got the speaker outputs from that kind of ran out here to the front. I put some banana plugs on the end of them. That way when I need to use my tester speakers, I've got alligator clips on the end of my test speakers. So I just undo the alligator clips and clip those onto whatever it is I'm working on. I've set that up the same way on both sides for both of those speakers there. So that works out nicely. And then over here, we've got the ultrasonic cleaner. We got more parts bins, of course. LED lighting, super, super bright. I mean, if you look directly at it, it's like looking at the sun. It'll blind you, but I need lots of light. I've got glaucoma and vision problems, so the more light, the better. As you can see, it lights up my workspace really, really well. Now, recently, I've added another tablet as a recording device, so I can get some overhead shots of the stuff that I'm working on, so you guys will see that in some upcoming videos. Like I said, I've been working on this current workbench to just try to cover all of my needs. This is the best workbench I've ever had to date. You know, I've had an electronics workbench since I was a kid. And, you know, you just, like any tech, I mean, you just go from one iteration of your workbench to another, you know, as you get more equipment or your needs change, or, you know, the space you're working in changes or something like that. Of course, you have to be able to adapt. So, and then I put together the soldering, what I'm calling the soldering station. So, as you can see, I've got a turntable on top of that for putting stuff on as I'm doing solder and reflow work and whatnot. And there's the hose extractor that I was talking about that's powered by the Variac. And then I've got an overhead illuminated magnifier there. And then to the right is my my hot air machine. That's a quick. It is a 957 DW Plus. Great little machine. ESD safe as well. And then below that are my actual soldering irons. The black one there is my old Zytronic I've had forever and a day. The yellow one there next to it is a little cheapie I bought off of Amazon recently. My Zytronic is getting near impossible to get replacement tips for. So the yellow one I ordered on Amazon merely because it uses Hakko tips. They're T19 tips. They're readily available everywhere and they're cheap. Computer, turn off soldering station. And then, you know, I have everything voice controlled as well. I like to have automation. Computer, turn off soldering station. Okay, so anyway, yeah, 2 different soldering stations I've got set up there. The yellow one, I'm just using I'm using, you know, like a wedge tip on, and then the black one, I've got a, you know, fine tip, you know, conical type tip. That way, depending on what I'm soldering, I don't have to switch tips or anything like that. I just have both irons come on if I'm working on a soldering project, and then I just grab whichever iron I need with the tip on it that I need. So it works out nice that way. So yeah, I made this little cart, dedicated it to soldering. I can move it away if I need access to my parts drawers behind that. So this whole thing is on wheels and I can move it. So that's worked out nice. Then sitting back in the corner also, I have a digital microscope back there. If I really need to see something small and I need to, you know, really blow it up and see what I'm doing, that thing does the job there. And that's portable. I put that on a portable base where I can set that wherever it is I need to look at something and work. I've got 2 illuminated magnifying lights that I've just mounted on floor flanges on my workbench. I've got one to the left and I've got one to the right here, so that I've got illuminated magnification both to my left and my right. Again, like I said, I've got some vision issues, and anything that helps the vision is definitely a needed tool. You know, just can't have enough lighting and magnification when you're working on small stuff. You know, it's a must-have. So, computer, turn off workbench. So pretty cool. Once I'm done working for the day, the entire workbench, I just tell it to shut off and everything goes down. The soldering station, I don't have that come on automatically because there's a lot of times that I'm working in here and I'm not using the soldering station. I don't want to sit there and burn up my tips. So that I have voice controlled, and I can turn that on separately whenever I want to work on a soldering project. But the biggest thing is just having the rest of the bench, like I said. I like to have things voice controlled. I can turn it on. I can tell Alexa / my computer to play music. Everything is. I've just tried to make it to where it's a ease of use thing. So I've got plenty of room to work, and everything's at my fingertips. Yeah, already heard me talking and started playing music back there. Computer, stop. Computer, stop. I just wish it would do things the first time I tell it. We're working on that. I'm still trying to train it. It's kind of annoying, but I've got 3 of those around my house that run everything. So I thought, yeah, voice control on the bench would be cool. So anyway, that's my little bench tour. You know, I've been in the electronics industry pretty much my whole life. You know, I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid. And so I thought I would do a bench tour. I'm sure people are seeing the uptick in the videos that I've been uploading. I'm just now finally getting around to being able to have some time to shoot some videos. My YouTube channel has just been sitting here, and I haven't really done anything with it. But now I have a little bit more time on my hands, and I'm trying to shoot video of the things that I do because I have a lot of people ask me. And it's easier to have people see what you do than it is to try to explain it to them. So I've really kind of transitioned heavily lately towards video, and instead of, you know, text type stuff. You know, people consume video, you know, constantly anymore, and so it's just easier to watch a video and listen to somebody talk than it is to read about something or someone or something like that. So, you know, I'm trying to change how I do things and just incorporate more video, you know, into the work that I do. And so now you guys have had a little bit of a look at my workbench situation and the tools that I use and stuff like that. And so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I've got a couple other videos I'm going to post. I haven't posted any videos in a week or so. I just haven't been feeling really well. I thought I would try to get some videos knocked out today. You know, I'm dealing with a lot of health issues, you know, unfortunately. And that's one of the reasons why I have some more time in order to shoot video. I'm not working as much as I used to. I just have to be more selective about the work that I do and the work hours that I do. Yeah, anyway, like I said, we're going to be shooting some more video. And like I said, with the addition of a video recording device that I don't have to hold in my hands, I can put some projects on the bench and you guys will get some overhead footage that I'll work into the videos. That'll be coming down the pike here soon. I haven't tried to utilize that yet. I've just got it set up. I thought, yeah, this will make things better because you guys will get to see more overhead work. You know, I have to cut in and cut out as I do a stage and complete something. I'll shoot a video and talk about it till I go on to the next section. This will allow me to be able to shoot more constant videos. I'm working on stuff and not have to stop and do that sort of thing as much. And you guys will get to see more close up some of the stuff that I do rather than, you know, kind of hearing about it after it's already been done. So anyway, yeah, that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and check out, like I said, I got some other videos to get uploaded, and I'll try to get more content uploaded here on a more regular schedule. But so far, I'm doing a lot better than I was. Like I said, I've got more time to do so now, and I want to get the YouTube channel up and rolling. So anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Later.